Episode 488. How's Sarah?
Feeling great.
Really?
Just
for
488.
Fuck's sake. I fell right into your sick trap.
You did. My sick trap. I'm feeling all right.
Mediocres.
Mediocres.
That's really fine.
That's what we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
Just like better than yesterday. Optimistic about tomorrow.
I meant to tell you recently that Peg, my mom.
Yes.
People keep texting me and commenting and saying, like, how's Peg doing because Trump lost,
I gotta
you know?
Yes, yeah.
Well, so she was with me the other day, and I got a text from my friend Kelly, and she's like, how's Pegalee? Because she calls her Pegalee. And I was like, oh, let me ask her, Peg, how you doing with this Biden situation? And she's like, oh, I'm fine because Trump's got a plan, and he will be president any minute now. Like, it's over, and she still thinks, which is probably very comforting for her.
Right. And I'm like, fine, let him think that.
Sure. I'm like,
sure, go ahead.
Because she had originally...
And we'll be busy getting, things approved and bills passed and stuff done. And
whenever she had told me all the reliable prophets told her that Trump would win, then she said, so if he doesn't win, I'm going to have to know that these are false prophets. And I'm like, okay. So then I said, so the prophets, are we still, well, where are we with that?
Checking in, how those prophets?
She's like, well, they have basically it's like a few weeks in her mind where this could all get turned around because she still believes that Trump won in a landslide and that there was all this fraud and stuff. And I'm like, it's weird how the whole Supreme Court didn't agree with that.
Even the people Trump appointed.
Right. She goes, well, I will say that was very shocking.
I will say. I mean, it's just, this is the same thing. I got a call from my mom the other day and multiple text messages that were like, I can't. I need to talk to you. I'm fuming. And I'm like, what is going on? She struck a conversation like she does with these like millennials in Costa Rica that were, down there on vacation. Mm-hmm. She said, all of them are college educated. All of them believe that the earth is flat.
Oh no.
And she was
she
like,
met
Sarah,
real ones.
she was like, I couldn't. She couldn't. She was like, tell me, what is this?
It's
she was having
how
like
they all
a
hang
meltdown.
out with each other too.
Well, of course, because anybody else would be like,
But it stuck with me what you said about the Flat Earther documentary, how it is, and I believe this is also true of QAnon and other such conspiracy theories. It does make them feel like they belong somewhere.
Yes.
They have a community.
Yeah.
So, whatevs.
Yep.
Okay.
How's that shaman guy and his all organic diet? He's still getting that there?
Oh, that guy, right. Okay, so
stupid.
Before I sort of dive into all of the things I want you to all learn with me, I want to know your opinion about Elizabeth Smart being on The Masked Singer, the former kidnapping victim, Elizabeth Smart.
Yes.
You're like, I don't care.
I mean, it's interesting. Just, I'm kind of okay with it. I'm like, I'm more than okay with it in a way because I feel like even though, there are so many crimes like that where we've glorified. I think about all the documentaries I've watched about serial killers and the Night Stalker and this, that, and the other. And they're all centered around the killer as the main character. And it's like giving them all the attention. I'm okay. And I like that the person who's the victim is like, no, look at my life and look at how I'm thriving. And let's talk about me and what's going on. Like, who cares about that guy? Look at what I'm dancing with the stars. I'm like, good. That's a thriver.
I like that perspective.
Yeah. Are people not about it? What are they saying?
Well, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, that's strange. But I always really liked her and think she's sweet and everything. So I was just happy to see she's doing well.
Yes.
And but then I saw a lot of tweets where people were like, this is the dumbest timeline and we've reached peak like nonsense and all this stuff. And I thought, wonder what it is that bothers them about it.
Right. I think that's a good question to ask. And who's like, Because what is it about it that bothers you? Do you not like that somebody who is a victim of a crime rose to celebrity status? Because, I think about, and it's kind of apples to oranges, but like Monica Lewinsky, there's...
I think maybe what they're referring to is how this 24-hour news cycle makes celebrities out of unwitting people and the perpetrators, and it's sort of a weird thing. And then by putting her on a reality show, you're really kind of solidifying that if you're a victim of a crime, you might become a celebrity too, and that's odd.
I watched, and I can't remember if it was an episode of Law and Order, like a movie or something like that, that talked about, there was a scene where it was the perspective of a wife whose husband was the victim of a murder and what happened and how she like lost everything and just that became the story of their life. And I'm sure it was a movie, and it really only gets told in one direction. You only hear the story where it's like sad stuff. This is somebody who, and so often those stories about, a crime or about something that happened are written by, there's like all those true crime writers and things like that. She wrote a book, right?
Yes, she did.
Yeah, so she chose to tell her story and chose to put herself in the position of a survivor and sharing her experience. And so I think she is not famous because of what happened to her. She's famous because of how she reacted and what she did as a response to what happened to her, and how she kind of took charge and made that story hers instead of something where she was just a character in it.
My hope, though, is if we're going to do this, if we're going to sort of have this be a thing where victims of crime become pseudo-celebrities, it would be nice if we didn't just include white blonde women.
This is true. Absolutely 100% true.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because that's part of why she's like seen as...
that makes my stomach hurt for a sec.
She was the ultimate victim because she was this little blonde girl in a Mormon family in Utah. It's like the last person you'd think would be stolen from her bedroom. So people are less
Chet
shocked.
From my episode, my season of the Real World, my Real World, his brother dated her.
Right, I kind of remember that.
Yeah.
Well, makes sense, but it's still weird.
Yeah, it was. When he told me that, I was like, and I think it was before she had really started talking about it, and everything was kind of like hush-hush. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I'm happy she's doing well, and I just wanted you to weigh in, and I liked your point of view, so glad we settled that.
I'm trying to, or at least heard Sarah's ideas.
I love it. I just think it's up for debate, and someone could make, if someone synthesized why they found it offensive, and then I saw it from a new point of view, I could be convinced. I just didn't know what the point of view was that people were so offended by.
Like, if we have Carol Baskins on there, I feel like we can have this woman on there.
Yeah, I'd much rather have Elizabeth Smart
right? It feels
Carol
like, although, I mean, the outfits alone for the...
Well,
She's so funny.
I don't know how strenuous The Masked Singer is, but I bet you
Elizabeth... it's The Masked Singer. I keep thinking it's Dancing with the Stars. I don't know why. Yeah.
Whatever.
Why do people love The Masked Singer? I can't get in. I don't understand.
No, it's not for me.
Like that.
But every time I tweet something sort of like smug about it, people get really offended, so I've stopped doing that.
Yeah.
But what I was trying to segue, Sarah...
Oh, sorry.
I was trying to segue into saying, but I bet she had to hydrate using...
Yes, she did. Probably. Definitely.
My segues are so good, you didn't even know I was doing one.
That's right. I didn't. It's tricky to me.
That is a gift. Okay. First of all, Liquid IV has a new flavor that I tried yesterday.
Oh.
Strawberry. Holy heck, is it good.
Strawberry is one of those flavors I always forget I like it, and then whenever I try something strawberry, I'm like, damn, this is good.
Yeah, because I smelled
what
it
it is about that.
in Adam's cup, and it was, I was like, what is that flavor? Is it strawberry shortcake? And he's like, well, it's strawberry, but I mean, it smelled like cake. So I was like, I got to have it, and it's really good. And they have an energy multiplier, which I would really recommend because, as you guys know, I kicked my soda habit. And
Yes.
but I still need energy for Pete's sake. And so Liquid IV is a great alternative to, caffeinated soda and all that. So what you'll love is they come in a little pack. You just pour it in your water. It'll help you fight your fatigue and increase your focus and motivation and all that stuff that we're lacking this year. And like I said, they have great flavors and they do a wonderful job. They have a mission to positively change the world as well. They're donating 10 million servings globally, which I love. Grab your Energy Liquid IV in bulk nationwide at Costco, or you can get 25% off if you go to liquidiv.com and use code CANDY at checkout. That's 25% off anything you order when you use promo code CANDY at liquidiv.com. Start fueling your adventures today at liquidiv.com, promo code CANDY. Okay.
Yeah.
Any hoodles. Like you, last episode you said you saw a movie that was amazing, and I thought you were going to talk about the one I'm going to talk about, which was a documentary on, let's see, I think it's Amazon Prime, called Some Kind of Heaven, and it is about this place in Florida called The Villages, which is the largest retirement community in the world.
Uh-huh.
It has 130,000 residents.
Whoa.
So it's like a small city.
city.
It's a proper town. And the way that the film is shot, it looks like an actual scripted movie. Like it's on sticks and it's just very artistic and colorful. You know, like think of a pink flamingo or Palm Springs or something, and then picture that as like an entire documentary.
Yes, Lily Pulitzer documentary.
Yeah. So it's just really visually beautiful and compelling. But what makes it so fascinating is that this place, The Villages, is pitched as Disney World for older people. Some people call it Heaven's Waiting Room. It's like, where
can I move there?
Yeah, right. I thought of you
now.
because I'm like, this is where Sarah and I are going to live. Because they have everything. It looks utopian. It looks super fun. Everyone's dancing and enjoying music, and they have even like golf cart drill team where they do these fucking like synchronized swimming type things in the golf cart.
Susie, how much longer until we get to be there?
So, you know, the idea is,
and the Florida humidity is great for my hair, so I'm ready. Let's go.
You are going to have curly girl retirement.
Yes. Oh, I love it.
But, you know, the idea is that after you've worked your whole life, you go to this place and you can finally enjoy the spoils of having saved enough money to live in Florida. But what I love about it is it really focuses on the idea that your problems don't leave you just because you go to a Disney World for old people, that there's still loneliness and despair and frustration, and relationships are still complicated even when you're old.
Yeah.
And you kind of like really see how the human condition follows you no matter how much money you have.
Oh, so true.
Whatever. And so it was so thought-provoking. I just couldn't get it out of my head. Because, like...
Interesting. I can't wait to see this.
Like, this one old guy, he's 81, and he doesn't actually live at the Villages. He lives in his van, and he just goes to the Villages to try to get a rich old lady to marry him.
Oh my God. But, like, if you're a rich old lady...
Well, he's kind of...
I mean, how different is this than the fuck boys who, you know, we've all...
He's not a bad-looking guy. Like, for an old man, he's hot. And so you're kind of like,
we know how Susie likes older guys, so.
80's my limit, though. He's 81, so he's out of my range.
Out of your range.
But I don't know. It was just really... Because I'm having a midlife crisis. Do you ever think about what you'll be like as an old lady?
Yeah. I think, like... I'm probably going to be like my mom. I mean, she's not 80 yet, but like outspoken. And, you know, we talked about this the other day. Like, the older you get, you just like don't give a shit about what other people think. Like, the older I get, the less and less I care. I'm like, if I'm not your cup of tea, fucking don't drink it. Like, get other tea.
Wait, I gotta write that down. Is that a Sarah original?
No, I think. I mean, I'm sure it's on a shirt somewhere. It sounds like somebody should say that.
Because
sure
that is a good mantra.
Yeah. That's got to be a thing.
But, okay, how old was your mom when she started having kids, though?
30 years old, or 31. 130.
Get out of here.
57. And I was born in 86. Yeah, she was 31.
Okay. Because I was thinking.
Did you think older or younger?
Younger. Because, you know, back in the day, people had kids younger.
Yeah.
Like, my mom was 21, I think.
Wow. Yeah.
But
my mom was like, you know, like out being a tour guide in Europe and stuff like that. And like,
wow, she was ahead of her time, because that's more typical now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and so was my grandma. My grandma was divorced and, you know, like free spirit. Like, I mean, she tells me stories. My grandma said, my grandma's husband at the time was working down in Panama. And they did not allow, and he was somehow involved in the military, or something, like he was an architect and he was doing some kind of construction in the military or for some military project. And wives were not allowed to come. And she was like, fuck it. So she took a train from L.A., like Pasadena, all through Arizona, all through Central America, all the way down to Panama by herself, and tells me when she was like 22, 23, back then, my grandma died on her 99th birthday. So this was like this was a long time ago. And she said she had so much fun dancing at all of the nightclubs, and she had a great time with the locals. And I mean, so she was like a badass bitch before like that was even a thing.
Yeah.
So
well,
it runs.
Cool.
We got like
the
independent, free-spirited woman like in the blood.
Because I was worried,
so I'm probably gonna be like that.
By the time our kids are out of our hair, like, we're going to be so old, though. What are we going to do about that?
Yeah, I'm going to be a million.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
I'm going to be, my mom said that to me the other day. She was like, you know, you're going to be an old mom. And I was like, I know, Mom. She's like, you need to start having kids because you're going to be an old mom.
I love
when like, fuck.
People say stuff that, like, as if you don't know how old you are.
Right. I was like, yeah. I know, Mom. I've done the math, and I know when she's already had other kids by the time she's my age, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be so tired at like soccer practice or whatever.
Yeah, we're going to have to figure that out. Maybe they can come with us to the villages. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. So, you know, luckily, like, Ren's younger than me. He's got energy. He'll handle it, maybe.
Yeah, right. Sarah's a cougar.
You run the dogs. Or the dogs. I don't know. I was thinking about the only thing, like, about him running around with Bo. And even that, I'm tired. I'm like, oh, you go. So, no, my children. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Just watch the film and see what you think, because it really is thought-provoking. I don't know. Probably because of my midlife crisis. But a thing that I'm dealing with, thanks to the fact that I am no longer a young person with acne, and that was taken care of, is that this dark spots still exist on my face, and it makes me crazy. Which is, remember how I told you that's why I don't do any like makeup-free selfies, because I still have like the dark spots from back when I had acne, and I hate it. So I found a site called Apostrophe where you can, you know, upload pictures of your skin and consult with a doctor. It takes like no time at all, and then they will prescribe you what you need. If you happen to have acne or wrinkles or dark spots like me, you can just quickly have a doctor diagnose you. You don't have to go in anywhere. You know how it is, like going to a dermatologist and all that, and who wants to be doing that right now?
Nobody.
So you don't have to go to the pharmacy even during COVID to get your meds, because they'll send them right to you. The prescriptions just get shipped. So It's such a great option and super easy. And they have a deal for you guys. Get $15 off your first visit with a board-certified dermatologist at apostrophe.com/braincandy and use our code braincandy. This code is only available to our listeners. To get started, just go to apostrophe.com/braincandy, click begin visit, then use our code braincandy at sign up and you'll get $15 off your dermatology visit. That's apostrophe.com/braincandy. APOSTROPHE and use the code BrainCandy to get your dermatology visit for $15 off. And we thank Apostrophe for sponsoring Brain Candy. I've been using them for years. It's super easy. They have all kinds of services.
I'm going to have to check it out. I love that.
Yes.
So easy these days.
You will love it. Okay, moving on. Okay, I read this article about aging Goths.
Goths?
Goth, goth.
Oh, goth. Oh, aging goths. Oh my gosh. This is a funny topic.
It is.
Because one of the funniest things to me are, which I there's got to be an Instagram account of this, goth people hiking. Because I love to hike, and every now and then you'll see one.
Right.
Sometimes you'll see the whole group of goth people who have gone hiking, or you'll see the one goth family member who is clearly dragged on the trip.
Doesn't want to be there.
I love the goth hiker.
Well, because
so great.
Goth wardrobe is not great for any kind of physical activity or heat.
Right.
So that's
a lot of layers, a lot of black. We do have the option of a parasol, which kind of helps. I have seen those. I saw those. I saw this on the what Trail of 1,000 Giants when I was in Sequoia with Ren.
No, a goth with a parasol.
Yeah.
Wow. Bless them. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I never thought about what happens when goths grow up. And because you just picture them in high school.
I bet way good skin, not a lot of wrinkles. Good job staying out of the sun.
Not only that, but this article is in the Washington Post. Really, you're going to love it because it was making the point that because goth personalities embrace the full spectrum of emotion, including despair, loneliness, gloom, that by doing that, instead of repressing it, it paradoxically makes them happier and healthier.
Bring back Tuesday Sacrifice. See, okay, Suze, now you know what this is making me think? That's a coping strategy.
What is?
That being goth.
Oh.
Think about the age where most people do that.
Right.
Really dive into that identity. Mm-hmm. Absolutely a coping strategy. Maybe I'm dealing with something. And you know how, what I've noticed as a therapist is, associate therapist, God, I still have so many hours to do. Anyways, it's another story. What I have noticed is that, oh my God, now I lost my train of thought because I was thinking about how many goddamn hours I have to do. Okay, we're talking about, yes.
Because it's a coping
what
strategy.
I see is that people develop coping strategy. This is the human condition, what we do. Mm-hmm. We develop coping strategies that we're totally unaware of.
Right.
That are workarounds, the things that I've had to develop with ADD. And that I didn't know were things that I've done that were workarounds because my brain works differently in that way.
What would be an example for that?
Always sitting in the front of the class.
Right.
I always did that, but I didn't know that I didn't know why until I really examined. Well, I have to do that because if I don't, I can't pay attention and I'll, daydream and I'll be I have to sit in the front. I have to ask a bunch of questions and be engaged or else my mind will I have no idea what's going on. So it's
right. So you eliminate distraction.
Yeah.
But it was unknowing and subconscious.
Totally.
Wow.
Yeah. And it would have just said, oh, Sarah, she's
just a keen bean.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of so things like that, or even
right.
So yeah. So I think it's that we do things that are to comfort ourselves and to soothe ourselves, and we don't even know. And then sometimes I think when we look back, like retrospectively, of like, what was I going through during that time? What did I need? And you can kind of put the pieces together. Oh, it makes sense that during a time when I was feeling really a lot of emotions, I was feeling a ton. I turned to a style and a look that embraced those emotions, just like you said, and expressed the full range. And it made it feel like it's okay to have those kind of feelings, and it normalized them, and it totally let me process them, even if I didn't know that's what I was going after that for. I
was super shitty to goth, like the goth subculture in my mind growing up, because to me it rang as like self-pitying and sort of like they wanted to be different, like counterculture. But I was like, you're not different because you all look the same. But now I see it with greater nuance and compassion. And
is this because you like Noel from Great British Baking Show?
I mean, I guarantee you that has had an effect on me because he is the best. But he really also doesn't have the self-pitying or like morose tone or attitude. He's funny and silly. So it's like the best of both worlds. But
but sometimes goth people are like that too.
Are they?
Yes, at least tell my friends.
Why do they always seem so sad?
It's just the look. It's just like the resting bitch face look. It's like that.
Well, and in this article it speaks to this because it says that their ability to find humor and irony and beauty in these supposedly ugly sources, like let's say you see flowers growing outside of a cemetery or the absurd frailties of the aging body, that it makes them better able to cope with the crap that life inevitably brings, and that they also have a great community spirit. So like during COVID, they all meet on Zoom calls. They do like Zoom goth parties or whatever the heck they call it.
I love it.
I do too.
I like community however you find it. And if it's through, there's like all those different styles that I like that.
Do you think I'm wrong about the self-pitying part? Like, is that a fault? Like I misunderstood them?
And I feel like that you have to then even further narrow down the subcultures. So there's emo and goth, because I almost feel like emo is more of that, like the Smiths and that like whiny guy. Yeah. Like goth, I feel like is more playful in itself, just because it's more like there's more of a costume element to it, or more of a fantasy element. I don't know. I could be. I mean, that's just like kind of my take on it as Tuesday Sacrifice. But how can you be a parasol? You're in a parasol. How can you be sad? It's adorable.
I think they would argue too that anyone that's quote unquote happy all the time is faking it. So they're being honest. If they're sad, they don't fake it.
Well, and you know what? This is something that I work on with clients too, and is people will say, "Well, I want to be happy." I'm like, "Okay, well, what does that look like? What is that? What is it like if you somebody who's happy all the time? Is that realistic? Is that can you be? Is that maybe setting yourself up?
Do you think you can
be happy all the time?
Well, not happy, but like joyful.
You can. We're all going to experience a full range of emotion. It's kind of like the thing we talk about with mindfulness practice and the experience of pain and suffering, and how pain is a part of the human existence, but our resistance of that pain is what creates the suffering. So if we just say, "Yep, this is a pain moment. Yep, death is part of life. Yep, the roses die," whatever it is, like if we can just minimize the resistance to that pain, then we decrease our suffering. And in decreasing our suffering, we increase our joy.
Yeah.
But you can't, it's yin and yang. You can't have the joy without, and the perfect example of that is Inside Out, that does such a good job of highlighting the importance of sadness in our happy moments, and how even the moments of sadness usually lead to moments of happiness and joy. We need that balance and that. Oh, my heart. Yeah. Yay, Goths.
Well, one thing that gives me joy is having a really cute pair of comfortable flats that are made from sustainable materials. And thanks to Rothy's, we're all set in that department.
These are good house shoes.
Great house shoes.
Good cushiony on your bottom of your feet. Yes, I'm liking this.
Yes.
I'll bust mine out.
Rothy's are the perfect way to step into the new year. They have all these different styles and colors and patterns, and they have ones for kids now too. And they are so great because they're eco-friendly and washable. Oh, and they have masks now too, washable masks. So you can get those.
I love this.
What if you could coordinate? I wonder if they have matching patterns.
100%, absolutely. That is the first thing my mind went to. Guaranteed they do.
We are going to be chic as heck. Okay. And they're ultra comfortable. So if you do happen to have to leave the house, you are set. And I just love that they're sustainable and you can wash them and they look great and stay fresh and lovely. Check out all the amazing shoes, bags, and masks available right now at rothys.com/braincandy. That's Rothys, ROTHYS.com/braincandy. Style and sustainability meet to create your new favorites. Head to rothys.com/braincandy. I saw Brainiac Mackenzie had them. I saw them in her Instagram. I was very happy for her.
Oh, I love that.
I was
Shout
like,
out to
girl,
Mackenzie.
you know, I love following the Brainiacs because I do get to see their life and what they're
I do
up to.
too.
Yeah. Okay. Any hoodles. Do you want to hear? How about the history of peanut butter?
Oh, peanut butter jelly time, peanut butter
God, it's
jelly
like
time.
the Celine clip.
It's so good. I go back to that Celine clip every now and then just for fun and then I posted about it. It's in my highlights reel. It's saved under like the brain candy or whatever because it was so funny that you introduced me to that. And I think in that meme I say, or in that post, I'm like, it's funny because she either A, has a hilarious, like she's referencing the Family Guy, or she's referencing an old school meme. Either way, I like, or she has no idea, which is even funnier. All of those options I love.
My mom,
the best.
Recently, my mom said to me, hey, you know how you're really good at like contacting celebrities and getting them to like acknowledge you? I'm like, well, yes, I am. And she said, do you think you could do that for me? I'm like, sure. Who do you want me to contact? And she said, Celine. And I'm like,
I can't believe it. Before Trump.
Right? And I'm
She's
like, you know what? I got to say, there is a limit to my ability, and it's about that level. Celine, come on.
I love it. You should just like go straight to the top. Like,
I'm like, what do you want to say to her?
Music royalty. What does she want to say?
She's like, I just think she's so nice, and she's just so inspiring, and her music is so beautiful. I'm like, I'm sure she knows all that already.
You should tell her that she didn't vote for Trump.
Ooh.
I mean, I know she's Canadian, but
she probably would be okay with it because,
for Pete's sake,
like, she loves me.
Well, yeah, okay.
She's able to look past it.
So you, Celine, same.
Right. I think we would all agree. We're like two peas in a pod.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, peanut butter. Okay. This was on SmithsonianMagazine.com. And it was saying, first of all, peanut butter began with the Incas, but like fast forward to like modern world. It was the Kellogg, the guy that made the cereal.
Yeah.
Who got the
And
patent.
wasn't that an accident anyway?
I don't think it was an accident, but it was like...
Oh, no, that was the penicillin or something from cereal.
Oh,
okay,
that
never
was
mind. Yeah.
It's different guy.
Different. That was like I know there was somewhere cereal and this is involved, and I don't know, I can't remember. But
well, Kellogg got the patent for like basically whizzing up peanuts and adding some salt and making a spread so that he could feed it to the patients at a sanitarium that he was running.
Whoa.
I know, it's bonkers.
And the idea of...
I don't even... And you know how I feel that peanut butter can make you choke? I think that's the last thing they should be eating.
This makes me think that maybe the dental hygiene of people in there was the issue. Well, because why would you need to grind something up into a paste? I'm like looking for why they would need to do this. They're looking for a protein dense, like our nutrient dense thing to feed them.
Yeah, like baby food.
Right? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
But don't they know about the choking hazard?
Well, peanut butter being a new invention, probably not a lot of time to get some anecdotal evidence on the cases.
I should record my mom talking about why peanut butter is a choking hazard. Because
yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. I get it. It seems
do?
like it. It gets sticky in your throat.
Yes,
but
why did you
it.
judge me when I told you that?
No judgment. No, Suze, please. I get nervous when I eat apples and I'm all alone in the house.
Stop it.
I don't know why apples to me. You know what it is? It's because every movie, it's always like in the cartoons and stuff. Somebody's eating an apple and then they got to do the Heimlich and it's a piece that flies out. It's always like an apple in cartons.
Yeah, why?
So I think,
are they scary?
I think. It's kind of like what quicksand did for me. Like I think, oh my God, it's so dangerous, but it's not. And in my mind, I'm like, I better not eat apples. I'll definitely choke because that's what people seem to choke on in every single cartoon. But I do get nervous sometimes. One time I inhaled a piece of the skin and it went down the wrong tube, and I had that moment where I did like the, like that gas, and I had terrifying, and I was by myself, and that was when I was like, oh shit, I gotta be careful. Like, what if you choke when you're by yourself? I know you fall in the back of the chair and all that, but I don't know. I can just hear people, because this is what my friends will tell me. They tell me, they listen to the show, and then they, talk at me to it, because, my friends will be like, well, I feel like I'm just, talking to you. So I'll be like, no, Sarah, you actually just, lean on the chair. So I have to talk to my friends and all you listeners, who now are my friends, about what I know you're all thinking.
Yeah, so. But I think you're right. I don't think that would really work.
No!
Yeah. Yep.
It'd have to be, a really big piece, and also, I don't have those kind of chairs. I have a high back chair that I would have to get my step ladder and then jump off of, it was WWE, and I'm jumping onto the frickin' ropes.
Please do this and post a video.
Oh my God, that would be so funny. Let's do what it would look like for me to do myself the Heimlich.
Wait, I'm gonna write
with
this
the
down.
Chairs.
Oh God, that's so great. Okay, wait, focus. Okay, so then. So that it said that he had elite clientele like Amelia Earhart and Henry Ford. So, but why were they at the sanitarium? ? I don't know.
Exhaustion,
Oh yeah. Wink, wink.
Wink, wink.
But because these are high-profile people, that made peanut butter a delicacy. It was a fancy food at the time.
Well, there goes my need no teeth theory.
Stop. I cannot take it.
I mean, we don't have Amelia Earhart's dental record, so.
Yeah, maybe we just learned something about her.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
Somebody Photoshop Amelia Earhart with no teeth, please.
Yeah, have you seen those things Tom Cruise with no teeth? Oh, those pictures are funny. They crack me up. You just, it's the same as people without eyebrows, when they just Photoshop the eyebrows
wrong.
out. Things, it's weird.
Okay,
that's funny. Yes, I'm never going to let you finish the story. It's going to take 2 episodes to get through the history of peanut butter. Who knows? 4 sentences you have. Can't even get through them.
So then it became more popularized because they were meat rationing during World War I. So that made sense.
Yeah.
And then some dude figured out that you could partially rehydrogenated whatever. You know how, I don't know how you'd say that.
Yeah,
hydrogenated. Yeah. So then it made it more shelf stable, and then this was crazy. So peanut butter became popular for soldiers, which makes sense. It's like a protein dense, convenient food. But apparently when people from America are traveling abroad and they can't find peanut butter, they go to military bases because they know they can find it there for sure.
Oh.
That's a good tip.
Interesting.
If you're ever...
Now,
craving
I
it.
was under the impression that somehow George Washington Carver wasn't involved in this.
Yeah, he was. He made all these different sort of inventions and innovations with peanut butter. Oh. And he was really, like most excellent black people, ahead of his time and kind of nobody really listened. But it turned out he was right because he was using peanuts for all sorts of things with farming. I don't really understand it because he's way smarter than me. But something about rotating crops. And,
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the kind of crop it is. And, yeah.
He was just a badass who was too smart for his own good, especially because no one was probably listening because he was black.
Yep.
But yeah, he is a peanut butter savant. And I was shocked that in 2020, peanut butter finally outsold jam in the UK. And I couldn't believe it because, like, when I was, I'm married to a British man, and he talks a lot about how peanut butter is this stereotypical American food. And now it's starting to really get popular in other countries as well that had typically seen it more like Vegemite or something.
Yeah. Interesting. Now, are you peanut butter or almond butter?
Oh. I mean, I guess I go with the classic, but I'll eat either one.
Peanut butter.
What about
Crunchy
you?
or smooth?
Smooth.
Okay.
Creamy. What do you like?
Creamy.
You're like crunchy almond.
Yeah, depends. Depends on what I'm going for.
Yeah.
Like on a banana, I like crunchy. I like little texture.
On a banana?
Oh my gosh,
that
so good.
seems like a double choking hazard.
Probably. Definitely. Oh my gosh.
I would much rather get my vitamins from Ritual.
That's safer.
It is safer. And if you ask me, better flavored because Ritual tastes like mint, and you know how I feel about that.
Yes,
I love
it.
that they now have the perfect solution if you have a picky eater in your household, because a lot of kids are picky eaters, but they still need their vitamins. So Ritual has made a yummy, gummy, natural citrus berry flavor vitamin, so the kids will get their daily multivitamin, their omega-3, and it's a good source of fiber, which we all need more of.
Yes,
so I'm
definitely
loving that they have made one for everyone in our house now. And when it comes to what goes into our kids' bodies, Rituals got being picky. Oh, I was going to say, Ritual hasn't got being picky down to science. Kids do. That's why Ritual is offering our listeners 10% off during your first 3 months. Visit ritual.com/braincandy to start Ritual or add Essential for Kids today. Give that a try. It's a good option.
Yes.
All right. So we learned about peanut butter. Okay. So then I read this article about the idea of dream jobs, which, is still a thing people sort of talk about, like, oh, I want to get my dream job, or I finally got my dream job, and how, like, they're never really as good as you hope.
Right.
And I think it's such a good thing, because remember how I told you about in that book, Can't Even, by Anne Helen Peterson, how the idea of, like, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life, is a lie that was told to everybody, and then it made us sort of chronically available for work and able to be exploited. And this article sort of falls into that same philosophy, which is that, like, remember when there was this contest, I don't know if you read about it, where a lighthouse was looking for lighthouse keepers that could live there, run the lighthouse, and they would be paid $130,000 a year. It was like it went viral. It was sort of like, wow, wouldn't that be cool to live in a lighthouse and be paid for it? And they had interviewed the people that got the job and how they work like 80 to 90 hours a week, and they have to, like, do all this crap that, isn't very glamorous or soothing. And they sort of use that as an example of how we're all seeking something that just doesn't exist.
Well, I think sometimes we don't know about, there's the parts of the job that are visible. I think about it as like the invisible labor thing, you know? Like, I love what I do as a therapist. Love it. There's no other job for me. There are parts of it that are like, oh my gosh, I got to, like, do all these notes, and I got to do all these, like, a lot of the
red tape,
like, back of the house stuff, and, like, work with insurance companies and follow up with this. And it's just like, when I was fantasizing about being a therapist, when I was, going to therapy, and I'm like, ooh, I could do this, I had no idea that you'd spend 1 hour with the client and then 3 hours doing the other stuff. And it's like part of it. And so, you love it and you do it all. But I can definitely see if you had unrealistic expectations of what that job really entailed. Like, I think about people who even say, ooh, I want to host a podcast. And I'm like, okay.
Right.
You ready to work? Because there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. And,
Right. Like, how we imagine a job will be is very different than how it actually is.
Yeah.
And they used an example of like park rangers and how, it's really nice to be able to be out in nature all day, but they say you kind of get paid in sunrises and sunsets because you make like $0.00.
Yep.
And a lot of them retire from that profession at age 26 when they can't be on their family's health insurance anymore.
Oh my gosh.
Stuff
I
like
did
that.
see a lot of very young park rangers and things like that.
Which is cool. Like when you're young, you
Yeah.
knock yourself out, but it's not,
Yeah.
you can't keep it because it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
And the one park ranger
interesting.
they spoke to said, it's not the same to go on a hike in a uniform as it is when you go on your day off. It's just different.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of that it changes things.
And I feel like the passion and purpose, mantra is really what white collar, upper class people do. Like, oh, it's my passion.
Yeah.
It's just not afforded to lower income people or often people of color.
Yeah.
Like, we're not
Well,
worried about
you know what
whether...
I go down to? Well, oh my gosh, this has been something I've been, I think maybe I talked about this last time, or maybe we talked about this, I don't know. But Maslow's hierarchy of needs is what that makes me think of. And how on that, in that hierarchy, the things at the bottom, so it's like a food pyramid, like a pyramid.
Yeah.
And at the bottom, the most basic that we all need first, like we can't get the things on the next levels or the higher up levels without first handling the things on the levels below. So basic needs, physiological needs, food, water, warmth, rest, number one. Next, safety needs, so security and safety. That means security and safety financially, security and safety. Are your children healthy? Like, do we have, babysitters? Do we have daycare? Do we have all that? Then you have the psychological needs, like up above that is belongingness and love needs. So intimate relationships and friendships. And then above that, esteem needs. So prestige and feelings of accomplishment. And then the very top, self-fulfillment needs, so self-actualization and achieving one's full potential, including creative ideas. So when you come from when you're white, when you have privilege, when you come from a wealthy family, when you have resources, the first two, sometimes even three of those are already taken care of. So you can work on esteem needs and self-actualization. When you have to work on physiological needs and safety needs, self-actualization is not going to be a priority.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, it would be wonderful if you could get it all from one place, but that you're kind of being sold a bill of goods. And like one of the things they say to look for is anytime a company uses the sort of like family language, like we're all a family. And people do this on the challenge too. We're all one big dysfunctional family. No, we're not. We're not.
Right.
We're not in a family because if I needed you, literally no one would be there.
Right. And when I have the
Right.
Right.
Oh, it's a game,
which is
Sarah.
Fine.
It's a game.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yes.
anytime like, and it's very popular in like the tech millennial sort of upstart companies where it's like, we want it to be a family atmosphere, which means like you have to be there all the time, but no one's going to be there for you. That's not a family. That's exploitation. So
Yes,
buyer
it is.
beware about that too.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I don't know what the answer is of how to...
I think we need to change our expectations.
Absolutely. And then, change our expectations. And I think you're so right when you've talked about how, millennials are always on with this whole gig kind of
Economy.
Thank you. That we're always on call and the job is never over. So we don't have these boundaries for our free time and our enjoyment. Yes. So I think that is more important maybe than love what you do. Maybe you don't love what you do, but have good boundaries so that you have times to do something you love, even if it's just, cuddling with your kids at night and reading a bedtime story or whatever it is. And quality, not quantity.
Right.
So, because I know for some people who are working 2 jobs and like it's hard to carve out that time.
Right. And
or set those
a lot
boundaries.
of times you're set up to fail.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the people who, want boundaries aren't in a position to ask for them or demand them.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a shitty situation, but hopefully we'll get some changes made in the way that the work-home life. I know it's bad now because everyone's working from home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Did you see that tweet that said, when COVID is over, is starting to sound the same as when I win the lottery?
Yep. I sure did see that. And I was like, damn, that, I felt that.
Yeah, and I don't know what to make of that. Well, let's not go down that road. It's too depressing.
Right. Yeah, we just have to, like you said, I think it all comes down to changing expectations and resetting our goals and looking at more things that bring us, it's like meaningful interactions and some meaning making out there in the world.
Yeah, amen.
Amen.
Speaking of the pandemic, I read this article about, I think it was in the New York Times, and it was how baby names have been skewed as a result of, as always, whatever's going on in the world has an impact on what we name our children. And they were saying that they're trying to be more positive, so they are choosing these names with meanings that are like inspirational. I'll give you some examples. Okay. So first of all, it said there were about 4 million more page views on the baby name site during the 9-month period after the start of the pandemic in March.
I have literally been one of those views. Ren and I had a conversation about baby names the other night and about changes in them and how it's so interesting that you bring this up. We were just talking about this. Yeah.
Well, you're one of the 4 million then.
Yep.
And they were saying that we don't know the data yet on what they're actually naming the children, but we know what they're searching for. So Zora, for example, it means dawn and it suggests new beginnings, is up 40%. Alma, which is soul in Spanish, is up 37%. Lucius, which connotes light, is up 24%. Other risers include Vivienne, which means alive or lively.
Oh, my goodness.
Aurora, which is the goddess of the sunrise. Felix, which is happy. Frida is peaceful. Zuri is good. And then place names like Cairo and Milan are also on the rise, I guess, because people want to travel.
Miss vacation. Huh.
And like names that represent optimism and strength, like gods and goddesses, Adonis, things like that.
I like this.
Biblical names. And then certain ones are in the decline that sound like obviously Corona, but Lachlan sounds too much like lockdown.
Oh.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It's so interesting. I love the study of baby names because
it's like a mirror.
It
tells you like what's going on.
I believe you said you were talking about an article on this many, many episodes ago, and you'd said it was one of the only things that you can like own or have ownership of, but you don't buy. That there's it doesn't cost anything, but it's yours. And there's also, there were patterns in baby names in different socioeconomic groups and their naming of them. So like we would see more popular names in like upper like these hoity-toity groups names, and then those would become the more
like
common
Tiffany
name
was the
place
example,
names.
I remember.
Yeah, I remember, and it was just that I was telling Ren this, and that was just so fascinating to me that we can look at that because you can give your kid any name. You don't have to like buy. It's not. There's no value, like no money to it, but it's something that you own and have and is yours, and it's just interesting.
And like they were saying that people are obviously there's always been a history of people naming their kid after maybe a grandparent who's passed away or something like that. But now people are tending to name them after living relatives because they miss them so much right now.
Oh,
isn't that sad?
Well, my baby names are both one that is that inspiring and hope-filled one, and one that is a relative name. So,
oh, so you kind of fit into it.
Absolutely.
So you weren't one of those people that had, like, when you were 10 years old, you knew you were going to name your daughter whatever.
The thing I wanted to name my kid at 10 years old is, I remember, it was like I met this cool girl when I was at the Phoenician Resort in Palm Springs. I can remember exactly where it was. And I was like, man, she is so cool. And her name was Madison. I wouldn't name my kid. That would not be my choice of name now, because it was like just not my choice.
Yeah.
And now I want to name my child after my grandma.
You made me think of something, though, because the name that I wanted to name my kid when I was little was because I met a cool girl at the beach. And I'm wondering if it's because we're on vacation, like that it seemed even cooler and more exotic or something.
Yeah, and I can very much remember this being a vacation where I became very aware of my body and how I was chubbier, that like I just became very aware. I remember, oh my gosh, I can remember a bathing suit I was in and posing for a picture, and I'm like hunched over, like trying to cover up my stomach. I had nothing to worry about. I was a child, and there's no reason to worry, but I can remember thinking, wow, she's in a bikini, and maybe it was like a vulnerability thing too, like heightened vulnerability in that moment. And then somebody who looked confident and having so much fun, and I was like, I want to be like that.
Wow.
And, who knows where Madison is now, but
she's probably still super cool.
Probably.
I'm going to put up a thing on our Instagram and hear what other people wanted to name their kid, like when they were little.
Yeah. Was it some girl that you thought was cool?
Right. Okay, let's wind it down, Sarah.
Yeah. Good episode, Suze. You taught me about peanut butter.
Good episode, Suze. High fives.
Yeah. High fives all around.
We're rooting for Elizabeth Smart to keep on keeping on.
Yep. We talked about some Goths and how maybe there's more to
that
fun.
Style. I like that conversation.
Totally fun. Me too. That's why I told you 5 stars. In fact, listeners, go give us a 5-star review.
My two quotes of Sarah's from this episode that I'm taking with me were, if I'm not your cup of tea, then don't drink it, and bring back Tuesday's sacrifice. That was hilarious.
Oh, gosh. I'm sure somebody said that quote about cup of tea. My mom emailed me the other day, and she was like, all it said was T-shirt design. And then underneath it was in the message, if common sense were so common, why doesn't everybody have it? And I was like, I've heard that. You are correct 100%. That's on a couple coffee mugs. Like, you're so right, Mom. But she's like, yeah, make that. I'm like, yes, I totally agree. And so I'm sure it's the same with the cup of tea one.
We got the amazing visual of Sarah choking to death in a WWE ring, yes. Which was extra special.
Oh.
And dream jobs just kind of don't exist. So let go of that idea.
Yeah, just like, we're all trying to make some meaning in this difficult time.
This crazy world.
Yes.
Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you next time. Bye.
I hope you enjoyed that show. You got this far, so you must be a hardcore podcast fan. We'd love to invite you over to our podcast, Twinning at Life. We'll be gossiping about relationships, yes, ours included, bachelor chatter, pop culture, reality TV, and really a bunch of real-life stuff. Come join us and have some fun. Just search Twinning at Life on your podcast app.